Alright, hello, welcome to another lesson today. We are going to talk about European colonization from 1607 to 1754. Alright, our objective, we're going to explain how and why various European colonies developed and expanded from 1607 to 1754. So now we're exclusively talking about the 1607 to 1754 range. Will we call back to pre? Sure. But this is what we're talking about right now. For key terms, all you really need to do is break down the three different nations and their colonization styles, and included on the bottom is religious freedom. Our big brain question of the day that I need you to think of throughout the lesson is comparing and contrasting, so similarities, differences, of the nations we are going to talk about today. So, moving forward for the do now, just one thing I want to mention. The notes pages should look a little different today. You don't have to, but it could. Where instead of doing a full block, you just do the three sections and leave some space on the bottom. We're going to have a quick write at the end. Or you can do the quick write while on keyboard. So it is up to you guys how you want to handle that. Think about the Spanish caste system from yesterday, reminder of that and how we go through it. I'm going to move on now. On here, this is just a quick rundown of how to update the Google Classroom assignments. This should be what you see on your end. It's hard to find student views because as a teacher I can't access it. But when you see the assignment, it'll say create a document, all that stuff. That's if you want to make a document in Google Assignments. But what you should see here is add. And here it says it too. Add, this is on a phone. Add attachment before you turn in or hand in the assignment. This can be a screenshot from your notebook. It can be a Word document. It can be a Google Doc. It can be anything really, so long as it is something from the assignment. And once you add that or attach that, you should be able to hit turn in and it submits it and it sends it to me and then I can give it back to you for feedback. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. And as we talk about turning in things, make sure when you submit correctly and you attach something to it. Alright, so review of yesterday's exit ticket. If you were in class yesterday, or if you saw it on Teams today, I did not send full feedback to everybody on exit tickets because I wanted to talk about the exit ticket in class. This was a diagram of triangle trade. Right? This was supposed to be a diagram of triangle trade. Because of that, a lot of us were putting for the cause of this triangle trade. Triangle trade can't cause itself. Triangle trade was the result of other things. Some correct answers I saw were, hey, new technologies like the caravel or the magnetic compass, or I saw a lot of people talking about like Spanish slavery. Those are good examples of a response to A that was correct, right? You're picking something that came before. And then for B and C, those are things that came after as a result. People were putting mercantilism. People were putting European countries getting stronger, things like that. Those are great examples of what came after. I just wanted to stop and point that out to everybody because you were either in one or two camps. Either you did it wrong in that way or you did it correctly, right? There was no middle ground, which usually means there's something wrong on my end. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that going forward. And with that, we're going to get started. So there's the title again, European Colonization, 1607 to 1754. Go ahead and screenshot that if you need the title. And here's the objective, all right? Like we said, we had that before. So again, screenshot it if you need it as we move forward. Now, let's get into key point one. So first we start today with the Spanish, yet again. Spanish efforts to extract wealth from the land led them to develop institutions based on subjugating native populations and converting them to Christianity. Both. You have both in there. Subjugating native populations, converting them to Christianity. Natives probably aren't going to like that, right? So what are these groups looking for? Well, first of all, this is what the Spanish Empire looked like at its height. All of this territory is Spanish. Labor to work in plantations and mines. So they didn't just resort on natives, they also resorted on, or relied on, I should say, African slaves over time. and they liked converting natives to Christianity. Those are what the Spanish liked to do. How did this feel? How did the natives feel? Well, they didn't like it. You got lots of conflict between Spaniards and natives. Some of it caused by the Spaniards, some of it caused by the natives, like the Pueblo revolts. But they did not get along, nor should they have gotten along, and they never quite did get along again. Now, this brings us to key point 2, which if you need to, screenshot it, pause it now so you can move forward, and then we can get talking. French and the Dutch, their colonial efforts involved few Europeans actually going to the New World. Very few Europeans from France and from the Netherlands, or from, very few French and Dutch people essentially got there, because their whole idea was trade and intermarriage with natives in order to build economic and diplomatic relationships. Why all these relationships? Because they're after furs and the fur trade. More New World resources like those, but especially furs. Trade routes, ways to get goods back to Europe where they could make money off of them. Little beavers, that was the big thing. These things were hunted to extinction in Europe because of fashion and because of clothes. Not so much fashion, I like that joke, but it's more because back then there's no synthetic materials, there's no neoprene, there's no factory-made materials. It's all from animal hides, and beaver fur is naturally waterproof, so when it snows or when it's wet and cold outside, this stuff keeps you warm better than anything else. That's a big reason why these were in such high demand, and North America had a whole lot of them. Not a lot of people hunting them because natives didn't use them. So that's something to keep in mind. Moving forward. How did the natives react? Well, the French and the Dutch had great relationships with the natives. Really, really good ones. Natives welcomed them, a lot of these particular Europeans, into their societies, intermarriage. Low impact on natives' lives. Native lives didn't change that much because, one, the Europeans didn't want them to, those Europeans. And two, because they were cool with these people. It was all Gucci. It was all awesome. So, this brings us to key point 3. English colonization efforts attracted a large number of male and female British migrants, as well as other European migrants. So the British, on the other hand, had lots of migrants moving in. Why? What are they looking for? Well, these migrants sought social mobility because, hey, the New World gives me a chance to advance myself, step up, be more important, get better. Religious freedom, freedom of religion, Anglican Church, English Church, like we talked about, real rough, real strict. And improved living conditions. Some people are dirt poor in Europe, think, hey, maybe I can get my own farm and start a new life in the New World, even though it's a little more dangerous. These colonists focus on agriculture, settling land that they took from Native Americans who lived there, separately. Now, that is probably not going to go well for the relations, right? How did natives feel about that? There was high tension all the time, almost. The natives realized that British colonists were there to take land and settle, and a lot of natives didn't like that, and it led to a lot of fighting. Now, this was a relatively short lesson. These are all things we should have a good idea about, but now I know we do. And we're going to move forward into our quick write. So even if you're rewatching this because you were already in live class, you already did this. But if you were absent, you're out, and you're doing this, make sure you go to Teams and you post this assignment in the Teams page. Everybody has already done it, but make sure you get it done if you were late and you submit it. You can either send me a screenshot, you can upload a file, or you can just type it in. But you need to write for 5 minutes and answer this question. The question is, using precise details, compare and contrast all 3 of the main European groups that were colonizing the New World. I want you to focus on this time period as much as you can. Talk about their motivations, talk about how they treated natives, and make sure to include what made the groups similar and different. Include both. I'm going to leave this up for a few seconds so you can screenshot it, or so you can make sure you have it down. You can pause. And then we're going to go on to the exit ticket, which is in Google Classroom. It is a Google form. It is multiple choice. The feedback is built in. Once you answer the question, you'll either get a, hey, good job, you did it right, or you'll get reason why it was wrong and what the right answer is. Once you do that, make sure you submit it, even if this is late, even if you're missing it. Just send me a message on Teams. Hey, I was late. I was out of class. I'm doing the exit ticket late, but I was absent. Send me that Teams message. Get the exit ticket done. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you on Monday in class. And if you're watching this late, it might not be weekends. Sorry if that's the case. Probably should be in class on time. See ya. Have a good day.